the main tools were, of course, a smarter website and a CRM. It doesn't mean you have to go and buy a CRM. Anything that can act as a CRM, that can do these 4 things. And then these 2 other tools. Because that's when you are able to achieve a proper or a complete automation where you use the smarter website and the CRM and these 2 tools together in combination. Now, this is the most important part. What exactly an automation is? So what I've tried to do is I've tried to dissect the automation for you and give you an anatomy of automation. How does an automation looks like? Well, it's very simple. For every automation out there, there would always be a trigger, something that would trigger it, an if statement, if this happens, and then a then statement, which is an action, then that should happen. Because automation is not a magic. It doesn't have artificial intelligence at this point of time like us. It doesn't have intelligence like us, and it cannot make decisions on itself. So we have to feed automation by telling it triggers, and then triggers are when and what. So an automation can be triggered on a specific time. It can be a time based on a particular field. So the time, for example, from 1 year when your customer first bought a product from you, maybe your customer's date of birth, maybe just Christmas or something like that. Or on a record action. So when I was talking about CRM, I was talking about ability to capture data. Whenever I'm storing data about my customers in respective fields in my database, an automation has the capacity to understand and categorize that data and take actions based on that specific particular data. For example, if I add leads to my CRM and I tell them that those leads are from Geelong and this is the small business looking for, say, websites, then this is a trigger that allows me to do a lot of things with that. It can allow me to send a notification to my people. It can allow me to send an email to someone. It can allow me to update a separate field and make things happen. So we have got a trigger which is time based on a record action, and then the most important thing is what, which is a condition that you imply. So the conditions are that you are not now dependent on just when Christmas arrives and I've got someone in my database from Geelong, this thing should happen. Condition takes it to the next level. Condition allows me to target my customers to a specific level. So now I want to target people who came to my website 2 times, looked at different products, but did not buy anything from me. They left their email details 1 time, and then they have not been on my website for a long time. That's the condition that I can use and implement through what or through those triggers. Another example, if I had a customer who purchased something from me, say 2 years ago, and I want to target those type of customers. So the first condition is they purchased from me for 2 years ago. The second condition can be that they are from a specific location. The third condition can be that they are in a specific industry. Now if I match all of these conditions, I can now send them email or a discount coupon which is specific to their industry, specific to the product that they purchased last time, specific to their location. So you can say, I've got this special offer for say sports businesses in Geelong, and because you purchased this thing from us, we are offering this thing to you. This is what condition allows you to do. So these are the triggers that you need to know while planning an automation. These are the building blocks of an automation. So when you will think of implementing automation on your business, you need to think of each automation divided into these 4 parts: when and what. And then you need to think of an action. What action do you want to take? But before that, when do you want that action to happen? As soon as these conditions are met, like instantaneous actions, For example, as soon as someone puts in their details on our website, do we want to send them an email instantaneously? Or do we want to schedule an email for after 2 days or 3 days according to a specific requirement? Can we? I think you guys are having glare on your faces. It's just, well, the next part is the what. Now, what is important? What is the key or the heart of automation? What can you achieve through automation? And there are endless things that you can do through automation. So once you have triggered according to specific time and specific record action in specific conditions, what do you want that automation to do? And there are endless possibilities. So you can get that automation to send an email to your customer. You can get that automation to update a field in your records. You can get that automation to allocate a task to your sales person. For example, if I know that my customer has showed interest in something, my CRM has the ability to actually allocate a task to my salespeople or allocate a task to me to actually fix the meeting with that person. And then it can automatically send them a schedule out with a specific time and date or link to the calendar availability so that you can set up a meeting. So what can be an email, an allocated task, an updated field, or through what you can just trigger something else. For example, through this trigger, you can actually trigger MailChimp or you can trigger Hootsuite, which means that you have got a record which is not saved in your Hootsuite or MailChimp but in the CRM. But when specific things happen in your CRM, you are using that information and putting that information into a format so that MailChimp or Hootsuite can be automated to take specific actions. Any questions so far on the anatomy of automation? Yes, please.
What is a good length of time for someone to be on your site? So you talked about people staying 1.5 seconds. So what would be a good indication that you're engaging?
So it's really, the question is that what would be a good indication of people are really engaging on your website? So what's the good time for them to spend on their website? And it completely varies from industry to industry. Sometimes you are selling a very specific thing or specific service, that's only one thing. And the overall buy cycle is very short, so they are just looking for that product. They come on your website and either buy that product or leave your website, and it can change a lot. To a specific service where people are looking to engage you for a big job, which is a long-term contract, that's when they are actually spending a lot of time on your website, looking at all your content, all your testimonials, and trying to understand what you do. The best way to identify that is to understand, there are a lot of Google tools that are available, and I can send you the links of those Google tools, which allows you to know what are the industry standards of the time that people spend on websites for specific industries and business of specific sizes, and then you can benchmark your website on those measures. Any other questions so far? All right, so let's move on to the juicy part. This was all the boring part. Now, this is important that we do not take sales and marketing automation as two separate things, but whenever we look at automating, we look at all these different steps. As I said, the first step is to reach and attract. Now this step is quite important because this step allows you to build the data for your automation, because your automation cannot work without the data, and you need a lot of data. To get the data, you actually need to be able to reach and attract your customers or the people who are strangers. And you can do that through two things. First of all, website optimization, of course, the smarter website. And second is social media automation. And that social media automation doesn't need to be really sophisticated social media automation. Something that we already do with scheduling our tweets, using tools like Hootsuite, using tools like Campaign Monitor, can allow us to get people on our website. What's really important that we do not ignore social media automation and website optimization. And the second part is engage. Now, when I'm talking about engaging is the part which is just before the capture. So it's really important that you engage people for long enough time that they are happy to give you their details. And that can be done through smarter website automation, which means you develop your website in a way that interacts with your customers. And I'll give you some examples of that. Of course, again, social media outreach. And the third important thing is remarketing. Have you heard of remarketing before? Does anyone have an idea of what remarketing is?
It's essentially where you have a process in place where you can capture some generic details of the person who's coming to visit your website.
Yep, absolutely, that's correct. So we looked at the example of someone visiting our office and not able to find someone, and then he leaves and we only have his footsteps. So those footsteps were actually Google Analytics that were not showing us who that person was, were just showing how many people were there in our store. But what if when they are leaving our store, I'm able to somehow plant a chip? That sounds so freaky. It's not that freaky when it comes to the remarketing, but it's similar to you placing a chip on their collar, so when they leave, and wherever they go, now they see your shop or they see your brand everywhere. So when they are sleeping, they can see their shop, or when they are at their home surfing their mobile phones and they are looking at Facebook or any other website, and what they see is your brand again and again, so that they feel like coming back to your office again and again and looking at it. So remarketing allows you to know who your customers are by actually, once a person comes on your website, they are actually tracked through the website. So now you know that this person with this particular IP entered into my website. He scrolled through 5 different pages, but he spent this particular time on one particular service on this particular section of my page. He was definitely interested in buying something of there, but he left. How do you chase him? Because you don't have any information. You still do not have any information for them, but things like Google and Facebook, they have a lot of information about us. You already know that they have a lot of information about us. They know where we are, where we are going, what we do, what we are surfing, what we are eating, everything. Like, they have all this information for us. So as a business, we can actually utilize that information by paying something to Google and Facebook through a thing called remarketing, where the prospect is tracked through your website, and when he leaves and he opens another website or Facebook or anything, he sees your website specific ads. For example, if you are selling a product and you are selling a shoe that he looked at for 2 minutes, he really wanted to buy it, but it was $500, it was very expensive for him. Well, you go back to him with remarketing and say, hey, you looked at this particular shoe that was $500. There's an exclusive discount for you. This shoe is now available in $350. Come on, grab it, grab it, grab it. And you are constantly showing that shoe to them until and unless they buy it. And you are not putting any manual effort in them. That's all being done through automation, through Google remarketing. So that was just a crude example of remarketing, but you would see examples of remarketing everywhere. Suppose nowadays when you think about some things, if you think about weight loss, you looked on 2 or 3 different websites about weight loss, and what you would see that your Facebook posts and Facebook feeds and the website that you visit, it's all about weight loss. The whole world changes into a weight loss academy for you. So, and this is possible through remarketing. Now you don't need to be, again, this is just a tool. And it's really important to understand that remarketing is a tool. It's not a process, it's not a strategy, it's just a tool. Now it depends on how well you can use it without freaking people out and making sure that they ultimately buy from you. And it implies to everything. For example, if someone is giving you details by filling a form, it's really important to understand how do you use that information and do not misuse that information, because it's going to impact strongly on your brand.